Tonight, the police continue to receive praise and condemnation alike over the manner in which they handled the protests on Monday. Now, this coming as the political class continue digging in their hardline positions on the mass action push. But in the midst of all the political clamor, the common mwananchi is left picking up the pieces as the aftermath of Monday's mass protests begin to sink in. Besides traders who lost in their millions, the family of William Mayenga is yet to come to terms with the death of their kin, who was shot by a live bullet during the protests on Monday. His mother breaking down in front of cameras, crying for justice in a case that would probably join the long list of death caused by police brutality cases that might probably not be solved. Here are stories that made it to the top 3 tonight. Ahead on TV47 News tonight, Azimio leader Raila Odinga announces that mass action will now take place twice a week, specifically on Mondays and Thursdays, effective from the following week.
We shall now hold protests every Monday and every Thursday beginning next week.
Raila has stated that he will not give up until the government addresses the issues he believes are of concerns to Kenyans. Transport along the Kisumu-Busia road brought to a standstill as students from the Maseno University protest the recent murder of one of their fellow students. The death lifting the lid on unresolved cases of police use of excessive force to quell civil unrest. Former CS Ukur Yatani on the spot tonight over the now controversial sale of Telkom, with the company's board chair saying that the former CS sent him an undated resignation letter before the end of his term. That's right, TV47 News tonight on this 21st day of March. The year 2023 begins right now. A very good evening to you and welcome aboard. My name is Kenneth Kazungu. Catherine Simaloi will be handling the sign language interpretation docket. Now, the ongoing power struggle between Kenya Kwanza MPs and Azimio la Umoja remains at the forefront, with MPs loyal to President William Ruto now accusing Raila Odinga of promoting anarchy and failing to present their grievances to State House. They claim that instead of pursuing diplomatic channels, Odinga chose to sabotage the country's economy through demonstrations. Meanwhile, Kenya Kwanza MPs have labeled Odinga's protests as a ploy to push for a handshake between himself and President William Ruto, as Paul Kirobi now tells us.
Following Raila Odinga's demonstrations in Nairobi, there have been mixed reactions and a blame game among legislators aligned with both sides of the political divide. Some lawmakers have labeled the move as a ploy to push for a handshake between President William Ruto and Raila Odinga, rather than fighting for the welfare of ordinary citizens, as stated in Raila's irreducible minimums.
The principal reasons offered by Mr. Odinga for organizing and implementing anarchy on such a tremendous scale are the cost of living and the 2022 election, which claims was stolen. Yet, as recently as June 2022, Mr. Odinga was the government's foremost defender, attributing the rising cost of living to factors beyond the government's control, which also affected other countries.
On the other hand, lawmakers allied to Azimio la Umoja have a different view and are insisting that the only way to put an end to the demonstrations is for the government to take action and reduce the cost of living.
There was no any protesters of Azimio who destroyed any businesses in Nairobi or anywhere else. I think this is something that is very important to note, because this is what the other side has been selling and to business community, that our protesters will destroy businesses.
It was every Kenyan who is now tired, who is hungry, and who knows that what is happening with this William Ruto administration is illegal.
Wewe ukitaka hii maandamano ikuishe, maneno ni fupi tu. Tangaza leo unga ni shilingi 70. Sasa hii tangaza ya kwamba IEBC will be recruited in a bipartisan manner. Tangaza ya kwamba saba itafunguliwa. Tangaza ya kwamba Ile ingine umesema ni gani? Bei ya mafuta iko chini. Maneno fupi tu, kesho hakuna demonstration.
Kenya Kwanza leaders have accused Odinga of attempting to obstruct Ruto's government from addressing important issues such as investigations into those who embezzled public funds during the previous regime of former President Uhuru Kenyatta.
The violence, chaos, looting and destruction are also aimed at distracting the country from investigating the shameless siphoning of public funds, crimes against humanity perpetrated through extrajudicial killings and forced disappearances, abuse of office and state capture.
However, the Azimio la Umoja legislators remain firm in their stance that President William Ruto must meet the demands of the coalition for a better country, and there can be no way out for him otherwise.
We are in this until all our demands are met. And those demands will have to be met. And we are very clear on them. You open the server, you involve all stakeholders in the reconstitution of the IEBC, and you reduce the cost of living. Do those three things, and you will find Nairobi returning to normalcy and the rest of the country.
The tug of war between the two coalitions appear to have no end in sight unless leaders led by President William Ruto and Azimio leader Raila Odinga engage with each other. Paul Kirobi, TV47, Nairobi.
And particular tug of war continued to escalate. Azimio la Umoja One Kenya leader Raila Odinga was declaring protests on Monday and Thursday every week from next week. The opposition chief has vowed to push the government in having the cost of basic commodities lowered and the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission servers opened, insisting that he won the August 2022 general election, as Elizabeth Mutuku now tells us.
Just a day after Azimio mass protest in Nairobi, Azimio leader Raila Odinga has declared demos twice a week starting next week.
Second phase of our protests, in response to public demands, we shall now hold protests every Monday and every Thursday beginning next week. Two, we call for, secondly, we call for the boycott of Safaricom, Kenya Commercial Bank, and Radio Africa Media, particularly the Star newspaper, who have become enablers and facilitators of this brutal regime.
Raila has vowed to lead protests until President William Ruto's government lowers the basic of commodities, allows opening of IEBC servers for vote recount, and allows Azimio to participate in selection of IEBC chair and the commissioners.
We maintain that IEBC must open the servers and allow an independent international audit that will without doubt prove to Kenyans that brutal Ruto did not win the last elections.
Raila Odinga, in a company of Azimio la Umoja principals, addressed the media in Nairobi, called upon police to immediately release Azimio la Umoja supporters who were arrested on Monday, saying they were exercising their constitutional rights during the protest.
Phones are owned and hired by the government through their party UDA. The moment you see people saying, because the other side has given a notice for demonstration, we have a counter demonstration. That's euphemism that we will meet you with goons.
Odinga, in achieving his demonstration's ambitions, has urged his supporters to boycott products from Safaricom, KCB Bank, among other companies.
Who probably think that we also don't have rights. We have a right to kugomea. Kugomea sio to act in isolation or anything. Absolutely not. What we are saying is fair reporting. But if you take a position, then Kenyans have also a position to take a contrary opinion.
Back and forth continues between the two political divides on the planned protest against the Kenya Kwanza government, even as the economy continues to receive beatings. The much awaited is to see who will blink first. Elizabeth Mutuku, TV47 Pan Biddings, Nairobi.
Staying now with the aftermath of the Monday's demonstrations, and Azimio la Umoja leader Raila Odinga has vowed to take legal action against Nairobi Regional Police Commander Adamson Bungei and other senior police officers in both local and international courts for giving orders to the police to use excessive and brutal force against the protesters on Monday. The National Police Service has, however, released a statement criticizing the coalition for staging what they call is an illegal demonstration whose sole purpose was to invade State House. Zainab Mohammed with more details on that story.
Following yesterday's mass protest by Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance, the party principal Raila Odinga has criticized the police for using excessive and brutal force against peaceful protesters. Raila, who has vowed to take legal action against Nairobi police boss Adamson Bungei, has demanded for the immediate and unconditional release of those arrested during the protest.
Very unfortunately, during this otherwise peaceful process, many of the demonstrators got hurt and at least 2 innocent Kenyans were killed in cold blood by the police. We pass our sincere condolences to the families that lost loved ones to the police brutality. We will stand with those families in all ways, including pursuing justice on behalf of their loved ones.
He says the party has put together a security and legal team that will be examining the police conduct during the protest, promising to institute legal action against individual police officers. Raila further criticized Independent Police Oversight Authority and the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights for their silence on the matter.
We were shocked that police could assemble so many personnel and so much equipment to confront peaceful protesters. That brutality witnessed yesterday does not belong to this country. It is the more disgusting because the citizens were acting within the provisions of the Constitution and were given notice of the intention to march on Nairobi. It is impunity at its worst. We were determined to confront it as they saw yesterday.
In response, the National Police Service has released a statement criticizing the coalition for staging an illegal demonstration whose purpose, the police say, was to invade State House. The statement says, and I quote, "The unwarranted day-long standoff that was witnessed in Nairobi and Kisumu yesterday amounts to nothing short of violence against the police and economic sabotage." End of quote. The statement further defends the police conduct yesterday, claiming that they handled the protesters with utmost respect of human rights. The statement says, and I quote, "In particular, officers used force gradually, beginning with the lowest threshold, which is show of force, and barely reinforced by water cannons and lobbing of tear gas canisters to prevent the protesters from accessing the central business district of Nairobi and Kisumu, as well as protected areas." End of quote. The police service, that has now welcomed external scrutiny by independent constitutional agencies, says a total of 7 officers were injured in Nyanza and 24 officers in Nairobi. A total of 25 people were arrested in Nyanza and 213 in Nairobi, whilst 10 police vehicles were damaged. Zainab Mohammed, T47.
Now, Maseno University students took to the streets on Tuesday to condemn the killing of their colleague William Mayenga, who was allegedly gunned down in an engagement between police and protesters during Monday's mass protest led by the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition party. Here now is Gilbert Nalwa with more details on that story, including the harrowing feeling from Mayenga's mother.
Students from Maseno University took to streets on Tuesday to condemn the killing of their colleague William Mayenga, a third-year student who was allegedly shot dead in an engagement with the police on Monday during the mass protests witnessed in various parts of the country, including Kisumu and Nairobi counties. The students who engaged officers in running battles along the Kisumu-Busia road demanded that justice is served to the family, pointing an accusing finger to the police for using excessive force during the protests.
Comrades, Ria! Viva, comrades, viva! Viva, comrades, viva! I want to say this. What happened yesterday and what is happening in Maseno is uncalled for, uncouth. We cannot take it and we won't take it.
The mother to the deceased, Evelyn Miruka, expressed her bitterness for the loss of her firstborn son, William Mayenga, a third-year student at the university, whom she described as a kind-hearted son, and who was about to clear her studies. She condemned the police, accusing them of killing her son with no justified reason.
Sasa nitafunika sana mtoto wangu firstborn kati ya Maseno. Nashanga mtoto alifanya nini kuua mtoto wangu si bandi. Tunaongea kitu. Badala ya maskari kutulindia watoto tena wanaua. I've lost my child. My child was a third year in Maseno University. Here, he was to finish his course next year. Now this is the kind of graduation they are bringing me to.
In a statement issued by the Inspector General Japheth Koome, the police noted that a section of rioters invaded the Maseno police station on Monday, hurling stones on the officers and property, a scenario that led to the death of a male student. The Independent Policing Oversight Authority has now launched its investigations into the matter. Azimio leader Raila Odinga, while condemning the saga, called on IPOA and the Kenya National Commission of Human Rights to investigate the conduct of the police during the Monday's mass action protests.
Many of the demonstrators got hurt, and at least 2 innocent Kenyans were killed in cold blood by the police. We pass our sincere condolences to the families that lost loved ones to the police brutality. We will stand with those families in all ways, including pursuing justice on behalf of their loved ones.
Gilbert Nalwa, TV 47.
And of course, just a day after those Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance protests in Nairobi County, there was a stark difference from the scenes in Nairobi today, which of course on Monday we saw it was characterized by a cat and mouse game between protesters and law enforcement engaging in a back and forth. And now Azimio party leader Raila Odinga declaring that there will be weekly protests twice, that is on Monday and Thursday. A section of Kenyans and of course Nairobi businessmen have expressed jitters, saying that they're likely to lose on their livelihoods and their children's education. And now is our reporter Ronnie Regan who produced this story.
Nairobi, a usually busy city, was deserted yesterday as the protests that were witnessed on Monday disrupted business and even transport. Many Kenyans had a hard time at the hands of the police, who were mandated with ensuring that there is peace and calm throughout the country.
Jana, kulingana na maandamano iliyomo siku ya jana, iliweza kusababisha biashara yetu, kwa maana mahali unaponiona tunakuanga wengi, hatukuwa tumetokea tukia wengi.
The capital is coming back to life, but many residents of it, and especially the traders in the city, have now complained about the loss of income following yesterday's protest.
Mimi ni mfanyi biashara hapa Tirum, na mimi nafanya kazi ya bodaboda, na mimi ni mmoja wapo wa hustler. Hakika hustler tumekuwa na hali ngumu ya kimaisha. Imekuta mahali mpaka chakula imekuwa ngumu katika kuwekelea kwa meza.
Kenyans have had conflicting feelings following yesterday's protest, with some supporting and others feeling that the economy will be affected a lot, especially after Odinga now said that the protest will be held every Monday and Thursday.
Na hii kazi yetu nimeifanya kwa miaka nyingi, lakini huwezi kosa 1000 kama 2 hivi. Lakini kulingana siku ya jana sikuzipata kwa sababu ya mafulugu ilisababisha hata watu wengi wako kuingia katika kwenye mji.
Siku ya jana nilipoteza kazi kubwa sana juu nilitengeneza shilingi 100 kutoka asubuhi mpaka jioni. Na jana mimi huwa kila siku huwa natengeneza kuanzia shilingi 1000.
President William Ruto has maintained a hard stance and said that his government will not participate in any handshake with opposition like the previous governments did, but some Kenyans have a different feeling.
Kwangu mimi jana nilienda hasara na inaamini ya kwamba kukiwa na amani na makubaliano na maelewano biashara itaweza kuendelea vizuri.
One of the big concerns is now education, which will be affected if Raila Odinga's demands are not met.
Na tunasema kama ni Raila na president wetu Ruto waende wapingane huko, wakutane kwa ofisi, na yale watakayokubaliana waachane na sisi watu wale wanapiga hasla, waendelee na kuhaso.
Mimi nakaaga hapa kama msukumaji wa troli. Mimi sijasona ubaya wa maandamano. Kwa maana hata uchaguzi ya last year tulifika mpaka Kasarani, tukaweza kuenda kwa mkutano na tukaona kwamba baba walimuiba kura, na tuogopi kuendelea na mbele na maandamano hata Jumatatu wengine tuko tayari kuendelea na mbele na maandamano kabisa na kukabiliana na serikali ikijaribu kabiliana na sisi wananchi.
If President William Ruto does not engage Azimio leader Raila Odinga, then what will be the future of the nation?
Also, Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza has praised the action of the Meru County Assembly of approving all CECs after the two parties agreed to work together. Now, this follows a long tussle that had threatened to bring services at the county to a halt. Here now is John Java Kiania with more.
Following Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza's reconciliation with the county ward representatives who had been in political tension for over 5 months, the unity between the two camps has brought some sort of success. The Meru County Assembly approved all 14 nominees for the position of county chief officers and county executive committee members who were appointed by the governor. 5 months ago, the governor faced fierce opposition from MCAs after the County Assembly's committee failed to approve 7 of the 10 CECs proposed by the governor.
And I want to confirm that we have approved the 7 CEC nominees whom were afforded to the Assembly by the governor, and also 7 chief officers. Awaiting the rest because the governor only afforded 7 names of the chief officers.
We expect when we shall have queries and we want to ask them questions, they shall avail themselves to the assembly. They don't need to wait us to summon them strongly. They don't need to wait for us even to complain that they are not responding to our letters from the county assembly.
During the swearing-in ceremony of the approved members, Governor Mwangaza congratulated the nominees who are now substantive orders of their respective offices. She urged for the peace that was witnessed at the moment to continue in order to facilitate the effectiveness of our agenda for the people.
We will be expecting monthly reports from every waziri and every chief officer. Amefanya nini Meru County kwa ofisi yake. Hapa si mchezo, umefurahia kupata kazi lakini mbio itakuwa mwendo wa kasi sana. Speed yetu hapa ni 400 kilometers per hour. Kwa hivyo tutakimbia na tutakimbia kimaendeleo. Bwana asifiwe.
The approved nominees whom we spoke to expressed their happiness while promising better performance in their new roles.
We have problems of poor info for the last 2-3 years, and it is also in my best interest to see to it that in the Department of Agriculture that we introduce smart agriculture where we can be able to solve the problems of drought.
For the vocational training institutes, we have challenges because again those institutions, they do not have the right equipments, they do not have enough staff, and those are some of the challenges we are going to look into and see the budget that's available to support us do that.
Governor Kawira Mwangaza had been engaged in a tough war with the MCA since assuming office, which culminated in an attempt by the members of the County Assembly to remove her from office, a decision that lacked approval from the Senate. John Javakiania, TV 47, Meru County.
We have started the journey of Kabati, Kaende in a very serious way.
Elsewhere now, it is 5 years since more than 100 Cuban doctors jetted into the country in what was described as a move to fill gaps in county hospitals through a health agreement signed by the Cuban government and the Ministry of Health. And as Elizabeth Atieno now tells us, the arrival of the Cuban doctors have caused jitters in the health sector as local health practitioners continue to oppose the move, saying it will be a huge disadvantage to thousands of Kenyan doctors who remain unemployed.
In 2018, the first batch of Cuban doctors, including 53 family doctors and 47 specialists, touched down in Nairobi from Havana. The doctors came as a request from county governments in a 2-year contract. Things took a fresh twist in February 2023 after the Council of Governors demanded a review of the deal that brought 120 Cuban doctors to Kenya amidst claims that the government is spending millions of shillings every month in salaries and hospitality costs for the medics who are alleged to not giving a proper return of investment.
So in essence, the whole project of the Cuba and the Kenya agreement is not really beneficial to the country. It's more of a use of the taxpayers' money in a cause that was more of a PR than any benefits. And therefore, our recommendations as a union is that since the project is coming to an end, there's no need to have it renewed. The funds that were in that project, and ideally, as you said earlier, the 4.4% of the budget that the ministry have, they're able to really flex and do many of these particular projects. That money should be factored into employment of the Kenyans who are unemployed and who are specialists.
The Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union now maintains that the admission of Cuban doctors into the country have jeopardized the employment of local doctors and is a looming scandal in the country.
So as a union, we have maintained a stand on this, and we believe that it was a particular corruption deal that are yet to be unraveled as time goes, and we'll ask the committee to actually ask for an audit report on a cost value analysis of the coming of the Cuban doctors between that period and to date. What value has it brought to the country, and what extent and what amounts has the country spent on the same?
According to the deal signed between Kenya and Cuba through the famous Nairobi-Havana Agreement, the doctors were to be offered security, furnished homes, airfare for holidays, paid utilities and transport on top of their salaries. The county governments where the doctors were deployed were responsible for providing accommodation, furniture, kitchen tools, electricity, water and cooking gas for each of the doctors.
We also have 50 of the Kenyan doctors that were taken for exchange programs to Cuba. And the reports that we have as a union is that a number of them actually dropped from the program. They could not complete the program because they were under deplorable conditions, to the point that we have one doctor who even lost his life. He lost his life out of the frustrations that was there in Cuba for that period of time.
Every county got at least 2 specialists, thereby cushioning regions like Mandera, Vihiga, Marsabit and Wajir, which had no specialist before the Cubans. Another cohort of 20 specialized doctors in the Department of Internal Medicine, Oncology, Cardiology and Pediatrics arrived in July 2020 to strengthen the fight against COVID-19. However, reports from KMPDU reveal that only a maximum of 5 local doctors have been employed in different counties in the past 5 years.
We have trained family physicians in the country, and the course is being offered by about 5 universities: Moi University, Maseno University, KU University. We also have Aga Khan offering these courses, and they have a greater understanding of the disease pattern in the country. But while these Cubans were being brought, we had over 100 of family specialists in the country who have not been employed.
The national government is committed to paying each of the doctors a monthly stipend of 125,000 Kenyan shillings. In addition, the Cuban doctors are insured under the Public Service Commission and enjoy comprehensive medical insurance coverage under the National Health Insurance Fund.
A shortage of oncologists in this country. And last year, we have about 4 of them who graduated from Alexandria, but they could not be employed. So that is our presentations on this issue of the Cuban, because we had gone to court over it, but then it did not work at that time.
KMPDU was speaking before the Senate Health Committee, which brought together other stakeholders in the health sector and the Salaries and Remuneration Commission. Elizabeth Atieno, TV47, Nairobi.
All right, at 28 minutes past 9 o'clock, we want to take a very fast break right here on TV47 News Tonight. Plenty on the other side, and you want to stick around for that.
You are watching TV47, the home of untold stories. As you enter a new phase of life, you may seem lost until you discover the passion within.
I'm happy that MKU decided to open a branch in Malindi to make work easier for those parents who have never been away from their kids or children.
It has all the equipment that I need to study and all the facilities that I need.
We have one of the most beautiful and ultra-modern structure.
Join us at Mount Kenya University and Equip Africa Institute Malindi Odell Center to build your future. Intake in April for electronic learning and May for distance learning. Mount Kenya University.
Unlocking infinite possibilities.
Mount Kenya.
Platinums.
Our state-of-the-art facilities are designed to meet all your needs, from large-scale conferences to intimate meetings and everything in between. Located in the heart of Thika, the Mwai Kibaki Convention Center offers stunning views of the city skyline and is easily accessible from all major transportation hubs. Our facility features ample parking, free Wi-Fi, advanced audiovisual equipment, and our technical team is always on hand to ensure your event runs smoothly and seamlessly. Don't take our word for it. Make your next event unforgettable at the Mwai Kibaki Convention Center. Contact us today for bookings and reservations. Email multimedia@mku.ac.ke or call us on 0708 212204 or 0727 441733 or 0721 438 629 to learn more about our services and book your event. Watching TV47, the home of untold stories.
Welcome back and thank you so much for staying with TV47 News Tonight. As the world marks the International Forest Day today, Kenya Forest Conservers in Bungoma County have warned river encroachers and deforesters, especially from the sources of water, in a bid to curb climate change in the country. They have stated that illegal occupants will face the wrath of the law, as our reporter Wanji Sostin now tells us.
The Mount Elgon region serves as a critical water source for both the western parts of Kenya and the eastern parts of Uganda. And as the world marks World Forest Day, the Bungoma branch of the Kenya Forest Conservers has issued a warning against encroaching on water sources and deforestation in the Mount Elgon region.
They need to protect it at all costs. We also are having issues of rehabilitating areas that are degraded. What we've just said is just part of it. But we need a long program which may take 5 years or more so that the whole forest is protected. We are also upping up our games in issues of protection. We are really enforcing.
During the day's events, which included the planting of over 5,000 seedlings in Bungoma County to meet President William Ruto's target of planting 15 billion trees in 10 years, environmental stakeholders emphasized that tree planting is crucial to combat the effects of climate change in Kenya.
We've been urged to improve on our tree cover so that we get lots of rains, given that as a country we are having adverse effects of climate change.
We have a bigger program to plant Mount Elgon. We have more than 100 hectares.
Hatuna nurseries za kutosha within the county.
In Kakamega County, forest conservers partnered with the Kabarase rugby team and locals to plant over 1,000 trees.
His Excellency the President has set the tone. We must all plant trees, 10 billion within 10 years.
We are trying to empower the women on the cultural aspect that they can also be part of conserving the forest, because when it comes to looking for firewood, looking for water, it is the women.
I believe that by planting a tree, we are creating a better tomorrow and a better environment tomorrow.
In the future, we can actually come and say that we were part and parcel of assisting in this global crisis that we are having and the ecosystem that is currently happening.
Elsewhere in Nyamira County, Kenya Forest Service officers together with other stakeholders followed suit in the celebrations, urging residents to stop planting eucalyptus trees along river banks.
People have really planted trees, but unfortunately they have planted eucalyptus mainly. We don't want to stop planting of eucalyptus, but we want to encourage planting of these tree species on the right places, like hilltops and not on wetlands.
The Nyamira South Deputy County Commissioner Florence Obunga directed all chiefs to produce 2,000 seedlings to ensure that enough trees are planted.
We have instructed all our chiefs and assistant chiefs to ensure that they establish tree nurseries at the locational level.
Wanji Sostin, TV47.
Elsewhere, and as the probe into the alleged irregular payment of the 6 billion shillings in the Telkom Kenya saga intensifies, Telkom Board Chair Edward Njoroge now reveals that the board of Telkom was not properly constituted during the buying of the shares. The revelation raising questions on the legality of the multi-billion transaction, as Andrin Kilemi now tells us.
Telkom Board Chair Edward Njoroge has told the Joint Parliamentary Committee on Finance and Communications that no money was paid out by the company in the 6.1 billion shillings saga that is being probed.
If this acquisition...
Appearing before the committee Tuesday, Njoroge said the board of Telkom was sidelined and that it was not privy to any transactions.
I am not a representative of Jamhuri Holdings. And if you really want to get Jamhuri Holdings, you have their contacts, you should get them to come here, Mr. Chairman.
The telecommunications chair further revealed that the board of Telkom was not properly constituted. When Telkom
ule ambaye ameletwa hapa chairman mwenyekiti wa Telkom anatudanganya.
What are you reporting in your books of accounts as far as equity statement is concerned?
Those loans are still being carried there because Telkom has not repaid those loans. Okay, so if the shareholders within themselves have assigned or moved the obligations under the loans between themselves, as far as Telkom Kenya is concerned, those loans are still on our balance sheet.
He, however, defended himself, saying that he did not receive a penny from the 6 billion shillings in question.
This is not unusual. I'm in the board, as I said, of many companies where I'm independent board member and I don't represent the interests of those who either nominate me into the board. And that's the way good governance runs.
The committee is tomorrow expected to summon key government officials, including former Cabinet Secretary Kuria Tani, who Telkom's board chair says forced him to resign before the 6 billion scandal occurred. Andrin Kilemi, TV47.
So matters drought now. The National Steering Committee on Drought Response has raised $1 billion shillings for drought mitigations as it targets the 1 million Kenyans in the latest phase of food distribution. The committee under the Wakenya Tulindane campaign will this week distribute food to 48,560 households, targeting 290,000 Kenyans in Garissa, Nyeri, Taita Taveta, Narok, Marsabit, Meru, Baringo, Kwale, Makueni and Makueni counties. The latest data from the National Drought Management Authority, or the NDMA, show that 6 million Kenyans from 32 counties are food insecure, with the persisting drought set to continue due to depressed rainfall. At least 970,000 children and 142,000 pregnant women are malnourished, with urgent life-saving interventions needed. The number of malnourished children has also risen from 884,000 children as of July of 2022.
Marsabit ndio imekuwa affected sana katika mambo ya ukame katika 23 arid and semi-arid counties Kenya mzima, na watu ambao wamekuwa affected katika Marsabit County ni 309,176. Hao ni watu ambao wanataka chakula na wanataka maji na hata lishe ili waendelee kuangalia mambo ya food security yao ikuwe sawa. So on this coordination efforts tumekuwa na mikakati mbalimbali na mashirika mbalimbali to make sure that we coordinate all those efforts to avoid duplication of interventions. Na tumekuwa na mkutano katika county inaitwa county steering group and to coordinate all those interventions. And Marsabit ni county ambayo imepata msaada mingi sana kutoka mashirika mbalimbali. For example, napata katika sub counties mingi assistance in Africa like 80% coverage ya population ambayo inataka msaada.
Also, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has sent out an appeal to partners for support in scaling up the school feeding programs as the drought response kitty received a shot in the arm. Speaking at the port of Mombasa when he received 25,000 metric tons of wheat and 16,000 metric tons of sorghum from Ukraine, the Deputy President spoke of an urgent need for more support to the school meals programs to help keep children from drought and famine-affected areas in school. The World Food Program handed over the school meal program to the government in 2018, but with the prolonged drought, of course, the longest in 40 years, more children have become vulnerable as the government says it has limited resources.
It's a shot in the arm when at least 5.4 million Kenyans are facing starvation. We have also lost more than 2.6 million livestock. Children under 5 years, unexpectant and lactating mothers face malnutrition. Millions of lives and livelihoods are at stake. With this delivery in a few days, that one expectant mother in Turkana or Tana River will have food in her plate. We need to put a little bit more effort to the schools through the feeding program for the schools so that we can keep our children in school. There are counties in non-ASAL areas that are facing difficult situations similar to what is happening in these counties. We have some areas in the counties of Nyeri, counties of Kiambu, counties of Murang'a, the county of Migori, where we have pockets that have similar climatic conditions as in those ASAL counties. So we'll be making a request to the World Food Program to consider non-traditional, non-ASAL areas that have not been receiving support from the World Food Program to be considered, because the people in those counties are saving similar conditions and they are also facing hunger and starvation.
To the world of business, and the Cabinet has given its approval, of course, for the Privatization Bill of 2023, which will replace the 2005 Privatization Act. Of course, this move will establish a more enabling and less restrictive legal and policy framework to govern the privatization process in the country. The proposed bill, the Treasury will be granted the authority to private state-owned enterprises without requiring the bureaucratic approvals of Parliament. The Cabinet says that this measure will allow for the sale of non-strategic and non-performing public entities, ultimately leading to improved infrastructure and service delivery for Kenyans. Moving on, and listed agricultural company Kakuzi has posted an 845.8 million shillings net profit for the financial year ended December 2022, representing a 62% growth. Kakuzi shareholders are expected to get 24 shillings per share dividends, up from the 22 shillings payout last year. The rate was recommended by the board. Last year, the company became the first commercial exporter of African avocados in China market, registering a shipment of 180 tons. Now, this comes at a time when avocado suppliers have been calling for an 8-month exemption to comply with regulations published by the Agricultural Food Authority, set to be implemented from March 24th. Kenya Power and Lighting Company is in talks with foreign lenders to negotiate the repayment terms for a 6 billion shilling loan as Kenya shilling continues to weaken against the US dollar, with the unit to dollar selling at about 130 shillings as of today. Now, KPLC's Chief Financial Officer Stephen Mkiru stated that the negotiations are aimed at securing fresh loan repayment terms. The company is also currently servicing other foreign debts on a short-term basis. Since January of this year, the weakening shilling has caused Kenya Power's foreign commercial debt to increase by 2 billion. As of June of last year, the company's records showed that it had a total of 29.9 billion shillings in commercial dollar-denominated loans.
A very warm welcome to Primetime Sports. My name is Dennis Otieno. Now let's start off with matters golf. The Kenya Amateur Golf Championship KAGC Series event, the Muthaiga Open, is expected to kick off this weekend at the Muthaiga Golf Club, with top amateur, professional, junior and lady golfers set to participate in the event. Leading the pack at Muthaiga is the reigning Sigona Bowl and Windsor Classic champion Michael Karanga from Kiambu Golf Club, who will be pursuing a hat-trick of wins at the series. Karanga expects a tough battle from other elite golfers such as John Lejirma, Jay Sandu, veteran John Gitonga, while in the ladies category, 10 golfers will take to the course, including Naomi Ofula, Joyce Wanjiru, Chanel Wangari, Belinda Wanjiru, among others. The series will see the top amateur golfer pocket a cash reward of 131,000 shillings per leg in the series. Now, with an ever-increasing pressure to enlist fresh and young players hungry to register good results in the national football team Harambee Stars lineup, The team's head coach, Engin Firat, has opted to solve the matter with a mixture of experienced and locally based players with young, prospective, internationally based players in his squad. His latest inclusion being 23-year-old Daniel Anyembe. Anyembe is set to make his debut with Harambee Stars when they play against Iran in an international friendly match on March 28th this year. And he says he is excited about the call-up that had remained to be just but a dream for him. Anyembe, who plays as a fullback in Denmark, was born in the Scandinavian country to a Danish mother and a Kenyan father, and he says he did not hesitate to represent Kenya when the call came to him, adding that his Harambee Stars teammates have helped him settle in the squad seamlessly. Anyembe expressed his confidence over putting up a spirited fight against the highly ranked Iran, saying he intends to learn as much in the game and improve his style of play.
Actually, also a few years ago, but I sadly ran into an injury. So now again we started speaking, and then the coach, he called me, he involved me in the project and told me that he was excited to have me. So when he called, I was not in doubt. I was ready to come to Kenya and play for the national team. It was just, actually, he didn't need to convince me much, because he said that he'd been watching my games and he likes the way that I'm playing. So when I come here, I should just express myself and be the player that I am. And then he thinks that I have the quality, but I have to show him, of course. So he didn't need to convince me much, because when the opportunity was there, I was ready to take it. It was very easy to come here because everyone is so warm-hearted and welcoming. So I'm happy to already be playing and training with the guys, and they have been welcoming me very, very nice. So I'm happy to be here.
It will be very interesting to see this current team playing football in the next 3 years when the project is almost complete. But moving on, the Ministry of Sports, in collaboration with football stakeholders in the country, as well as the Football Kenya Federation, FKF, has intensified its talent search program after launching the second edition of the Elite Youth League that will encompass under 13, under 15 and under 17 footballers facing off with each other. The league, which has already kicked off, saw top football academies in the country fielding its players to battle for the title, as well as earn recognition so as to be drafted into top football clubs in the country, and eventually the national football team. Speaking during the opening day of the league, Football Kenya Federation officials, as well as the Elite Youth League coordinators, stated that the league will go a long way in easing the burden of talent search, adding that a skilled crop of players will line up Kenya's football in the near future.
I mean, we've seen what is happening in Europe, we've seen what is happening in Americas, South America, and as Africa, we are not being left behind. We are making sure that our children are also being trained, as I said, by the top-notch coaches in Kenya, and we can see that the football we are playing is not, if not even higher than what is happening out there. We are at the same level at other countries in the world. So we feel that we are there. We are at the world stage, and it is our time, even as Africa, to shine. That's what we want.
Nashukuru sana kwa hii nafasi tumepatiwa kama legacy kuja kucheza hii tournament ya FKF Elite.